welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls. This is the Star Chronicles Dallas Cowboy podcast. My name is Troy Hill, and I'm joined here this evening with Kyle and Ron, a.k.a. the Starstruck Fan. How are you both doing this evening?
All is well, Troy. All is well.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yep, it's always good after a Cowboys victory. And yes, it's been a few days, but I'm still savoring on that victory, even though it's only preseason. What is your guys' thoughts on the victory? 31-16 Cowboys over the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's start with you, Ron.
Yeah, it was preseason week 3, but, so you can't, of course, read way too much into it. But the fact that they put up a whole lot more points than they did in the previous couple of games with Dak on the sideline calling plays, I was impressed with the flow, because you can't really say, well, it was preseason week 3, because we've had preseason week 3s before and got smashed, and everybody's like, oh, well, this doesn't count and all this stuff. But the fact that I just loved the play calling, and it seemed to really fit who was the quarterback for that week. So I was just impressed with that, the offensive output and production with Will Grier and Dak Prescott combination.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. I wonder if this is going to be something that Dak Prescott might be doing in the future after his NFL career is over, whenever that may be. Could be offensive coordinator. It just seemed like the way he was calling the plays that, it just seemed like it's like you said, it just like totally molded what Will Grier needed to do and what type of player he is. And I think it worked out well. What are your thoughts, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to see them get a win, put up some points. I mean, it's the offense clicking a little bit. It's hard to put too much stock in it. It's funny because my girlfriend's like, "Why are you watching this game?" Because I had to DVR it. Because I wasn't paying super attention, and she called me out on it. And I was like, it really doesn't matter because this was after cut day. So I watched it yesterday. It's like half these guys who are playing aren't even on the team anymore. So those things were, I'm just watching it to watch it. You know what I mean? Keep, look eyeing like, because I heard about Lipke, having a good game. And then obviously I heard about the missed field goal and then the made field goal from 59 yards. So I wanted to see that. I heard about our former cornerback being lined up off sides on defense, and I'm like,
yes.
I just was like, those things were, I got to see it, you know what I mean, because I've heard about it on the radio or whatever. So I was like, so I watched it, and it's just kind of funny how he's like literally like within a day he's not even on the team anymore. But
I mean, it is just being lined up literally with your feet standing right on the line. And these are such remedial. These are things that we learned in Pop Warner. I mean, just any type of league. This stuff you learn well in before you even get into high school athletics. And you got this guy, but he's no longer here to worry about.
Exactly.
Which just quickly before we go into the cuts, back to the Dak Prescott play calling. Do you think that's something that he could do for himself? Because there is quarterbacks that do call their plays in some instances. Do you think that's something that Dak Prescott could be capable of doing, or is it would be easier just for him on the sideline to do something like that? You think that's something he could do in game for himself if he had the opportunity to do that? And if that's something that might be holding him back? Because we've always complained about how he's kind of had like a thumb on him, and he's getting blamed for all this, that, and the other, but he's still not been able to do what I feel like, for what I feel like he's fully capable of doing. Any thoughts on that, Ron?
Yeah, well, if I've been hearing correct, that's actually what this new Texas Coast offense is what it is actually designed to do, is to put the offense more control in his hands. And I think this was kind of a preview of sorts, even though he wasn't on the field, of him actually looking at situations and knowing what plays to call. And, the only thing was different is it was Will Grier out there versus him having to execute. So, of course, the difference going forward is going to have to be him calling the plays. He's, of course, going to have a different advantage point, and now you're going to be on the field, so you're not going to have the same sight that you're going to see from the sidelines, unfortunately. And then also it's going to come down to him executing, because it's one thing to know what the defense is in, it's one thing to know what you're calling, but you still got to make that throw and make the right read in the call. So,
absolutely. What's your thoughts, Kyle?
Yeah, I think I always thought he was a pretty intelligent quarterback. I think he's very smart. You know what I mean? And he puts in a lot of work. So and these quarterbacks, most of them have the latitude of, I'm going to give you two calls. You can, if you got to make an audible, go to the next, audible out of it. Go. So it's like most quarterbacks, I feel like, go in line of scrimmage with two plays in mind. You know what I mean? Given what the defense is going to read. So, I think, like I said, I trust him in the offense. I mean, he's I don't know. He's one of the hardest working guys in that team. I think anybody will tell you that too. You know what I mean? I think he's just a smart guy. I think he's got to me, anyways, he's got a very high football IQ. You know what I mean? Like, granted, last year was interceptions, but like, that was out of the norm. You know what I mean? It's like he wasn't just chucking it up there.
Yes,
you know what I mean? It's just
Yeah, it was out of the norm, but it was something that our fan base was trying to not just a fan base with social media and regular media. They were just
latching onto that.
Yeah, they were trying to make it and turn it into a norm.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on that, Ron, with just social media and just our fan base in general, trying to like making things bigger than what they are, especially in terms when it comes to Dak Prescott?
It's tough to really say. I'm before all this stuff really got going. Before even maybe the internet came online. So of course, it's different because social media is what makes a lot of things today. People see what they see and then they put it out there, and you got clickbait and all sorts of stuff, and so it's not hard to really get people to jump on board with that, and you're going to see the mistakes and things that are out there. But the thing is, with social media, when you put information out there like that, that may not be true, if you get enough people to follow behind that, it's going to get a large following and a large repost and all kind of things like that out there in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. Like Troy Aikman not being a Cowboy fan. We'll talk about that another time, but that's something else that our fan base has conjured up. That's 100% nonsense.
Troy Aikman just not being good. That's another one that's been put out there. I'm like, I watched the guy, but anyway, that was one of the topics, so I won't stay on that.
Yeah, we'll talk about the wonders of Troy Aikman one day in a future episode, because to me he is. To me, he's just the best to ever do it in my mind. But then again, I'm a Cowboy fan, so I might be a little biased. But again, before we take away from Dak or leave Dak, the conversation to Dak, anyways, I think it doesn't go enough being said about his level of work ethic and how much this guy works. And I think, and I just think that again, with sometimes the negativity is brought towards this man, I think a lot of stuff that this man actually does is muddled in it. But anywho, again, nonetheless, it was an excellent Cowboy performance offensively, and I really enjoyed the preseason game. I'm looking forward to the regular season. Let's go ahead and talk about Will Grier for just a few moments, kind of like just talk about him just a little bit more. Anything that did he do, or anything that was there anything that he did made you start wondering and double thinking about the Trey Lance thing, and maybe Will Grier might be the guy we should keep as a third quarterback on this team?
Who's going first?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I was one of the first ones to say I seen enough of Will Grier, and I was honest in that. I had seen enough of Will Grier. I don't know if preseason week 3 is enough to convince me that maybe there was something there with him, because at the end of the day, like I spoke on before the Trey Lance news had hit out there, was Will Grier going to be your future at age 28? Was that going to be a guy that the Cowboys going to look to in the event whatever happened with Dak? And not even if nothing did happen with him, Will Grier sits on that bench for 2 years. He's 30 now. Realistically, was there really a future in Will Grier in any sort of the things? He didn't appear to beat out Cooper Rush in the time that he did within the first 2 games. The third game is just tough because you don't have enough to go off of for consistency, unfortunately, and you just can't. I mean, 3 games, he did good in the third. There's not a fourth to see, can he do something consistently, or was this just a one-off? Was it Dak influence in that? Because a lot of people said Dak's rookie season success came because Romo was on the sideline. So I don't know. I don't know if there was just enough to really change my opinion. Great game, though. Great game. I'll give him credit in that, but I just don't know if it was enough to say that I think otherwise about Trey Lance now being with the team.
Yeah, I mean, great. I mean, I agree with you. Like I said, I mean, I think he had a great performance. He's currently signed third string quarterback now for the Cincinnati Bengals. Kyle, what is your thoughts on Will Grier?
I mean, I said it 2 weeks ago. I don't think much about Will Grier. He's a third string quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're putting a lot of stock in developing a third string quarterback. Like, I don't know any of the team that just. I don't know any of the team that third string quarterback has talked about as much as Will Grier and Trey Lance. You know what I mean? Like,
I totally agree.
Like the Bears just signed Nate Peterman. You know what I mean? There's no press conference. You know what I mean? No one's giving a press conference. He's not doing interviews. Coaches aren't asking questions about it. Like, but it's Dallas, and it's goddamn the third pick overall bust from 2 years ago, Trey Lance, and of course it has to do with now we can speculate. Stephen A. can speculate, and all the other idiots. Oh, is this a shot to Dak? Is it a message? You know what I mean? It's like he's a third string quarterback who couldn't even beat out Sam Darnold. You know what I mean? For the second string job, and you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry he could, and like we can all say what he only had 3 games, but like from everything I've heard from multiple resources from podcasts, it was like he was not good in practice. He just could not grasp the offense. He's not accurate. He got beat out basically in practice by Sam Darnold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like, like, and I'll go to, and this will be my final thing on this one. I'm not worried about who the third string quarterback is in 2025 or 2026 because I only care about winning a Super Bowl. It's been 27 years. I cannot worry about developing a third string quarterback. I don't give a shit. I want people, 11 people on the field on both sides of the ball who are going to win this year. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about 2025. I'm at the point where I used to, like 10 years ago, I was always like, oh, we can't ruin the salary cap. We got no.
Yeah.
We need, this fan base needs a Super Bowl now. I don't care about developing someone else's problem. You know what I mean? Like,
no,
and
I'm 100% on board with you.
And Mike McCarthy has to be feeling the same way because I'm pretty sure Vegas odds has him to be the favorite, the first head coach fired. And if he's fired, then is he worried about developing a third quarterback for 2 years from now and 3? You know what I mean? In 2025,
No.
Like he could care less. He needs to win now. You know what I mean? Like that's this whole Trey Lance thing is a distraction for me, man. It's just
I agree with you because you have people. You literally had people up before the cuts we were getting ready to talk about next. We had people sitting there thinking that we were going to have 4 quarterbacks on this roster now all of a sudden just because of the performance of Will Grier. And now we got Trey Lance, and I just think it has been a big distraction. Then you come out saying that Dak wasn't notified or Mike McCarthy wasn't notified. Well, I mean, I don't know if Dak really needed to be notified or not, but I don't again. I don't know about what people know about here locally at Dak Prescott. He's a sponsor. He's a spokesman for Sleep Number Beds here. I don't know if he's out. I don't know if he's out out like in the mainstream country as a spokesman, but here
he's national.
Yeah, it was national. Okay, so he had his sleep number at 40 when he found out Trey Lance was drafted. Not giving one shit about that whole situation. And it really. It's like disconcerting when I see our fan base starting to talk about like, well, when he plays and when he gets time and we need to get like 2 separate offenses, one for Dak to run and one for him to run. I'm like, we need to stop with the nonsense. I mean, I understand that some people don't like Dak for wwhatever reason. That's fine, but don't blindly just start picking up and thinking of any solution to sit there and try and do something outside of Dak. Because it gets ridiculous after a while.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Ron? And then we're going to go on to the cuts.
Thank you so much for coming back to me. I was wondering if we was going to move on before it got back to me. Oh
no, we got you.
Yes, this is interesting because I heard what Kyle say. Respect everything that Kyle and you guys say all the time. You know that. But he did mention Nathan Peterman. Now, where's Nathan Peterman right now? Who's he playing for?
It doesn't matter. That's the point. I think he's with Chicago. It doesn't matter.
He's with the Bears. I'm bringing up an interesting point. That's why I'm asking the question.
Okay.
He's with the Bears. Justin Fields just got drafted, number all overall pick, and the verdict is that they're not turning their back on Justin Fields just yet. I say all that because I'm saying the reason why Trey Lance is getting so much news with the Cowboys at QB3 because right now there's a lot of people not believing in Dak right now. I'm sorry to say that. And I'm just saying He's one of the questionable QB1s in the league right now that's saying if he does not get it done this season, he could be on his way out at some point rather than these other
okay. Yeah.
Okay, but financially, that's impossible.
Yeah, financially, it's impossible. You would ruin this team financially if you moved on from after this year. Like he's going to be here for at least another 2 years.
Yeah, you're sending our team to the Stone Age and stuff. It would be like that.
Yeah,
and at that point, Trey Lance's contract is up. You know what I mean? And having played no games, so it does that thing.
And then you're gonna have to pay him something too.
Exactly, it makes no sense. This trade makes no sense.
Probably not going to pay him as much you're paying Dak right now.
Oh, of course not. But you're going to have to pay him something for that 3rd round pick, or for that being picked at 3.
But that is what I'm trying to explain why QB3 is getting so much talk and news in Dallas, because any other QB1 position isn't really as the one that's in Dallas right now, where there's a lot of pressure that I mentioned a couple of podcasts, I believe, ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a pressure season for Dak Prescott. No, he won't get replaced after one season, but you better believe next season, if he has a questionable season this year, he's going to be in a position where he's now looking over his shoulder going into that second year where the money is a little different.
Right now, like I said, right now, Trey Lance is not better than Sam Darnold. And we can both argue, well, Sam Darnold is not better than Dak Prescott. So, I don't see any scenario where anybody in that organization feels comfortable saying, you know what, I know we got to pay Dak, but we got Trey Lance, who's done nothing but run scout team and practices. Yes. And you know what I mean? We have to move on from him we're not going to pay Dak 50. We're going to pay Trey Lance 25 million. You know what I mean? For an unproven guy. It makes no sense.
The money is not going to be there. I mean, it's just you're going to make your team. I mean, you're just going to just literally destroy your franchise. To me, this smells of like Drew Henson and Ryan Leaf. You know, it's kind of like a change of scenery or whatever the case it may be.
Yeah. The best they could hope for is that he puts some good practice tape together and they can flip him for a 3rd round pick when someone goes down next training camp. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know.
Like I said, the only way
he's not good.
The only Trey Lance scenario works and stuff is like scenario I told you in Madden, which is a video game. People is that I can cut Dak today and I can roll with Trey Lance just because it's Madden. Not because it's real life.
If Mike McCarthy doesn't get past the divisional round, do we all think he's fired after this year?
I think it's Super Bowl or bust. Well, that's just me.
Okay. So that's my point. So that's my point. And then, who do you think is coaching the team next year? Because I could guarantee it's Dan Quinn, a defensive coach, right? So who's running this offense next year? Who's developing Trey Lance next year? You know what I mean? Like, we don't even know who's going to be the offensive coordinator next year if Mike McCarthy gets fired. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's true.
There are so many variables that, like, I just, like I said, to me, it doesn't really even makes no sense, and I could care less. You know what I mean? Like, I just think it's
that. But Jerry Jones and the Cowboys just gave up a 4th round pick, and I know people are saying it's just a mid-round pick. It's just
no, it's not. We've gotten value. We've gotten value at 4th round picks.
You would not give a 4th round pick for Will Grier. You would not do that. But they decided that Trey Lance was worth a 4th round pick. I don't think you give up a mid-round pick for a guy that some reason you're thinking about trying to invest in this guy in the future, if possible. That's my only thing. I'm not saying it was a good decision. I don't saying that this guy, he's got a great chance of doing it. But the Cowboys, where they gave up a 4th round pick for this guy to bring him in as a QB3, somebody's thinking about something in the event something happens. That's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to make it sound as confusing as possible. But somebody gave up a 4th round, mid-round pick for a QB3 for a reason. That's I'm off my time.
Well, Starstruck, I'm going to tell you what my master plan is. I'm going to get everybody. I'm going to get everybody in my football stadium. And I'm going to sit there and Dak Prescott, Dakota Prescott's going to go out there and win the next 2 Super Bowls, the next 2 years, retire and fly right off into the sunset. And Trey Lance will officially be our quarterback in the Dallas Cowboys. That's the only ridiculous thing I can sit there and be like, oh, I actually get it now. But that's not happening either. So,
isn't Cooper Rush on a contract next year too? He signed a 2-year contract. So I don't know. I just. I don't know, man. Like
Yeah.
this move clearly isn't about this year. So maybe next year. I mean, they're not picking up his fifth-year option clearly. So he's under contract for what? For one season, this year and one next year. Then you got to make a decision on him. I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's just weird. It's just very weird.
It is. Dak's got to perform. This team's got to win. It will kill a lot of this. We have got to see some things happen this season that will squash a lot of this.
No, you're 100% correct. But let's go ahead and hop into the cuts. To me, I mean, not really anything notable. I mean, Lipke, that surprised me. I thought he was gone after his performance on Saturday, I thought for sure. I was like, nobody could have told me different that it wasn't going to be Pollard, Vaughn, Waddle, and Davis. But Lipke gets that role, and I'm assuming probably is because he has some experience at fullback as well.
He looked good out there. I think he might be a short yardage guy. You know what I mean? He moved the pile pretty good. And he could catch, too. I was surprised how well he caught out of the backfield.
Yeah,
like he was catching.
Yeah, but I thought with Davis being on the roster last year, and I mean, I remember clearly telling you guys last year that if we didn't have Zeke going next year, that would be okay, 100% okay rolling with Pollard and Davis.
I'm okay with that too. Yeah.
So in that regard, I was kind of surprised that Davis was cut. I mean, he's on the practice squad now. What are your thoughts on that, Ron? And is there anybody notable for you?
Well, I tell you what, I was sending some messages back and forth with someone about that on that night. And I said, I felt when those guys are going into that preseason week 3 games, there's 2 judges that are going on in that game. There's a judger of execution, and there's a judger of competition. Will Grier got judged based upon his preseason on competition. Malik Davis, based the way I observed it, Malik Davis got judged off of competition. He's been there for a couple of seasons now, so they expect a little bit more out of you when you're playing guys second, third, fourth down the line as far as production. Lupke was judged based on execution because he's a rookie. So all he had to do was go out there, do what they told him to do. Catch, block, run, whatever it is. To me, I saw him check off almost every block that you would need. And Davis just didn't check off enough blocks for me. Or it didn't really matter because it's preseason week 3. You should be dominating anyway with the couple of seasons that you have under your belt. But it's Mark. He checked off more blocks to me. And when you're looking for a guy that Zeke is gone, I'm sorry. I don't see it in Davis and Dowdle. I don't have enough faith in those guys to be able to knock out those short yardage carries. And Lukey, when he got the ball in his hand, it looked like every time he gained at least a yard. He was moving the forward. He was picking the right holes, even though he didn't have blazing speed, because that's all you really need in short yardage. You know where
exactly.
I don't care if he doesn't take the ball 80 yards to the house, but if he can pick up a key first down in certain situations, that's what I'm looking for. And he checked that block off for me.
Yeah, I hope they utilize everyone that they did keep, if possible, because I really do like our running backs, and Lipke, like I said, I was kind of surprised still, but I mean, the way you just described it and explained it, I totally get it. What's your thoughts on that, Kyle?
Yeah, he was surprising. And I know, like I said,
because it gets to the point where sometimes if you get enough reps, something's bound to happen either or, just because you're getting reps. So I don't know sometimes what that necessarily means. It's because you're excelling, or is it because you're getting an opportunity, or what does it mean? You know what I mean?
So, well, what Ron said though, this guy, he played phenomenal. I mean, even there was one play where he had a blitz pickup and he put this guy in his ass. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, I know that's the whole thing. Oh, Zeke is a good blocker. Like Hunter Lipke, a rookie out of North Dakota State, did the same damn thing. You know what I mean? He got the hard yards. He was catching, swing passes, and I just thought he played so well. I mean, I know it's a third string guys, but he did his assignment. He didn't blow any assignments. We've seen plenty of running backs blow assignments when it comes to pass protection. We saw Malik Davis. We saw Dowdle blow a couple. Well, this guy, he picked it up right away. And I've been arguing so long that I'm not paying one guy $16 million and I can have three guys do the same job combined for $5 million. You know what I mean? Like that's just my when it comes to running backs. That's my whole philosophy. You know what I mean? I just between Dowdle, Malik Davis, and Lipke. I mean, you've got one Zeke. You know what I mean? And you move the pile on short yardage and pass protect. That's all you need to do from those guys, and let Pollard and Deuce be your home run guys.
I mean, no, I agree, and I think for
Yeah.
the value out of the four versus the one thing with Zeke, it's it makes I mean, I just think it's just worked out really, really well.
Yeah,
and I'm very, very pleased. I'm very I'm very, very pleased about our receiving core, which we all. We called that. I think we called it right down the line as far as we definitely keep on that too. So, I mean, we're definitely we got quite a bit of talent.
it's a solid squad. Yeah,
I mean, and it's not like '90s level Cowboys still. Probably nothing like it since then. but it's just like a lot of solid.
Exactly.
Key role players, that's in there that I think is going to give our team a shot this year. Well, what do you think about that? Just like the team that we currently have assembled, Ron.
I like it. I like what is coming together on all sides of the ball. I think they, of course, there was some tough decisions to be made out there. Some guys we were able to get back onto the practice squad, as far as for depth and things. So I like it. You got some hungry guys. They really the ones that I think the only person we may have missed out on is the defensive end pass rusher. I think everybody had seen a spark out of him, but at the end of the day, it was just when you got Micah Parsons filling that role, it took away that spot, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That young man, and so he had to move on elsewhere.
What do you guys feel about the trade? Isn't it kind of like trading the same thing? It's like we're getting kind of like the same person.
Basically, yeah. That's what they're saying. I mean, the guy wasn't even active at like 17 games the last 2 years. You know what I mean? So it just changes. I don't know. I'm okay with it. I mean, I'm okay with it. It's like he's going to be covering Justin Jefferson week 1 or anything.
Yeah, exactly. And Jones was cut too, correct? Or they still can't do nothing with him yet, technically. How does that work?
Oh yeah, he's suspended. So until he comes off his suspension, he's still a part of the team right now.
He's on a list. Yeah, he's on like a reserve suspended list. Yeah.
That's the only reason why.
It must suck just knowing just things that are inevitable. You're just like looking at the calendar every single day, just like knowing that your number's getting ready to come up.
It's going to be like James Washington, even though James Washington was more of an injury versus a suspension, but it's going to be like inactiveness is probably going to be being inactive, I should say, is going to probably be the thing that dooms me in, because these other guys are going to probably be performing over the next couple of weeks, and it's going to probably be enough that they're probably going to say, we don't even need to see what you can bring to the table.
Yeah, I totally agree.
He's suspended and he's injured, to my knowledge.
Yeah, it's just odd. It's an odd situation. This guy hasn't got a shot at all, but he doesn't really deserve it anyway. So
he could have played in the preseason, but he was injured, so that didn't help his case either. So he couldn't even play because he was injured, and now the regular season he's suspended. So I think it's just going to be one of those things. The other guys that are on the team are going to get an opportunity, and it's going to just be enough that they're like, oh well, sorry.
Yeah, I think it just is one of those things where they got 3 weeks to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, and it's one of those things where if Dowdle pulls a hamstring in week 1, then you know what? Yeah. He's going to be out for 4 weeks. Then you know what? Jones comes back in a week. It'll work itself out. You know what I mean? It always does. You know what I mean? Shit like that always works itself out.
Good call on that, Kyle. Yep.
Like the tight end situation. Remember how we were? Oh my God! After week 1, who was that one tight end? John Stevens. Oh my God! How are we going to fit all these tight ends on this? But then next week he blows out his knee. It's one of those things where now we're every tight end made the squad. So it's just it's almost like insurance. You know what I mean? It's just it'll work itself out. And if no one gets hurt then you release him. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal. He'll be out there in the free agent market. I
totally agree. Yeah, he'll find a spot with some other team. But we have some sad news in the Dallas Cowboys organization today. Gil Brandt, he passed away. Gil Brandt served as the vice president of player personnel for the Cowboys from 1960 to 1988 After graduating from the University of Wisconsin, Brandt first broke into scouting, working part-time for the Los Angeles Rams. In 1958, Brandt got his first full-time opportunity with the San Francisco 49ers before making a move to Dallas to take the job as the chief talent scout with the Cowboys upon the franchise's inception in 1960. In his 28 years, Brandt made an impact on scouting that is still felt in the game today. He is credited for the introduction of computers in scouting and evaluation, along with the drafting of players such as Roger Staubach and Herschel Walker. He is also credited for his undrafted pickups of Drew Pearson, Cliff Harris, and Everson Walls. What are your guys' thoughts on because he had a hell of a career with us. Let's go with you, Kyle.
You know what's funny is back before podcasts were a thing, I'm talking like maybe 15 years ago, I used to have Sirius satellite radio. Mm-hmm. And I used to always listen to the NFL. They have an NFL channel.
Yeah.
And so you like in the morning it was like Adam Shine, and the afternoon though it was Gil Brandt. You know what I mean? And this guy would tell these stories, and he remembered like the street these recruits lived on, the colleges they went to, like their grade point average. And this guy, I mean, we're talking like he remembered everything. It was like a computer in his head. And he was referred to as the Godfather, you know what I mean, on the radio show. And that's what blew my mind, because even then, 15 years ago, he was still pretty old. This, like how sharp his memory was, it blew my mind. You know what I mean? Like he remembered high school stuff, and so high school. He remember he could tell you Charlie Waters' high school head coach's name. You know what I mean? Like who the hell would know that? You know what I mean? Like it's just like it's insane, his knowledge. It's so funny. Like. And it is true, like he did so much for the advancement. Like I think it was his idea to have the medical checks and have all the things on one location, you know, which is now called the combine, you know what I mean? And
yes.
It's just crazy what he contributed to the game, you know what I mean? So
yes, and definitely, if you're lucky, you want one or two of those type of guys in your organization to help evaluate. What's your thoughts, Starstruck?
No, I think Kyle hit it on the head, and what you read as well. His accomplishments, Hall of Fame, and also sealed with Ring of Honor, all of that. He got thing, and he got all of his flowers on this side. You know, got all of his accolades that was well and truly deserved, based upon what all he accomplished. I got nothing about what he did. You know, I mean, of course, other people that may have known him more, but like I said, the things that he brought to the table, because you see a lot of people, I'm not calling any names, that get into the Hall of Fame, and, they got one little single big major accomplishment that they've done outside of a player. And, this guy here, with all of the stuff that he did, as Kyle was listing, and the impact that it had on the game itself. Yeah, it's one that I'm thankful that he's affiliated with the Dallas Cowboys.
Absolutely.
Most notably. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the Cowboys had a I'm not going to read the whole thing, but they said we are deeply saddened by the passing of Gil Brandt, a true icon and pioneer of our sport. Gil was at this very core of the early success of the Dallas Cowboys and continued to serve as a great ambassador for the organization for decades beyond that. Very, very kind words about this man. And I mean, he will be missed. He was a very, very important individual to our franchise. So now that being said, because let's see here. Let me go to the part. Okay. His contributions submitted. Oh, here's one key thing that I know Ron would like to talk about in this message from the Dallas Cowboys, referring to Gil Brandt. His contributions submitted his spot in the Ring of Honor. And the honor, I guess it kind of like echoes off into the distance. So in questions of a time, and time's limited. We don't know how much time we have on this earth. What do you think? How does that correspond when you think about Jimmy Johnson in the Ring of Honor? And I'm going to start with Ron.
Yeah, it's just, that's why I kind of emphasized when I was talking about Gil Brandt that it was good to really see that this guy got his acknowledgement or his flowers on this side. I mean, on this side of life, because, there's a question for me, will Jimmy Johnson get this same opportunity? Will both Jerry and Jimmy be available for this thing to happen for Jimmy to get in there as well, and not even trying to compare the accomplishments of what Jimmy did to Gil Brandt. It is not even close. Doesn't even scratch the surface. However, this guy, when you compare him with the other head coaches that we have had historically, this guy brought in Super Bowls. Not Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, he's a
Well,
pioneer. He's a
yeah,
pioneer of our organization.
yeah.
You're talking
Built
Tom
from
Tex
scratch.
Stram and Tom
Yeah,
Landry, and I mean, he
yeah.
was there.
Do it as long as Landry building a team from the ground up. He did it a lot faster because of free agency and things like that. And, but man, you would have to think, I would just be curious to peek into Jerry's mind and just see what was his thoughts running with Gil Brandt going out, of his thoughts on Jimmy Johnson, or even himself being there to be able to present Jimmy. I'm just curious. Just curious.
Very, very valid points. What are your thoughts on that, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, at some point, he's got to put his pettiness behind him. I mean, it's just like I said, like I said in the last show, like even the media members who love Jerry are kind of calling him out on it. You know what I mean? Like just how petty this whole Jimmy Johnson Ring of Honor thing is. Like, what's it going to take? You know what I mean? Because you know what's going to happen? God forbid Jimmy dies. He's going to be like, oh, you know what he's going to say? My biggest regret is not putting him in while he was still here. Then just do it already. You know what I'm saying? Just do it,
Yeah, just get it out of the way. Just do the guy right, because
and you know what will happen? People will finally stop talking about it. You know what I mean? Like the media will leave them alone about it. It'll be a done issue. It'll be done,
Yeah, just because the thing that what Jerry Jones needs to get over is just to realize that there's nothing he can do for anybody to sit there and not recognize Jimmy Johnson has been a diehard Cowboy fan. The reason why we won those Super Bowls.
Yep.
And that's even that third one.
Yeah.
That one with Barry Switzer that he won. Yeah. None of that stuff would have happened without Jimmy Johnson. I mean, and he just needs to look in the mirror and just get over himself.
Yeah, because he's not changing anybody's mind by not letting him in the Ring of Honor. Everyone knows, because it's been 27 years that you've been in charge of the team and haven't done shit with it. You know what I mean? It took Jimmy Johnson 3. You know what I mean?
I don't know. We do got a fan base that thinks Trey Lance is going to play this year. So maybe. Maybe.
But my point is, come on, man. The proof is in the pudding. Put the guy in the damn Ring of Honor already. Let's do it. You're not changing anybody's mind. You're not. Everyone knows.
I really want to know what happened, and maybe I got to read the book.
Yeah.
Because something had said, and I was talking with someone recently, and they had shared. Now, I don't know if this guy really knew exactly where the source of information came from, but he was sharing with me that Jimmy really embarrassed Jerry at times.
Yes.
In meetings and things, said some things out in front of public, in front of people in meetings and stuff that really kind of made him,
I heard that too. Yeah. I heard a specific story that happened at the Combine one year. That they were all at a bar or something like late at night, and they were all drinking. And Jimmy said some comment, and Jerry was so pissed and embarrassed about it. You know what I mean? It's probably one of those things he'll never let go. You know what I mean? Because I've heard that too, actually. Yeah.
So I don't know if there was more than one occasion. Something he said that really did not sit well and really thoroughly embarrassed this guy. And Jerry feels that he just hasn't got his system with who it was said in front of. I don't know what it was said, to what magnitude. I don't know, but it's been enough that this man.
I know.
I tell you, I was sitting in that bar drinking that scotch, and Jimmy just flat out embarrassed me, and quite frankly, and quite honest, I've never fully recovered.
I slept with this lady in college. I had no idea what happened and what was. It's something that stuck with this man 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, who knows? But again, we like to thank everyone that listens to our podcast. But that's all we have for this particular episode. Do you have anything else you have to say to the people, Kyle?
We're almost there. 1 week till kickoff next Thursday, and then Sunday night. We're almost there. So,
yep.
Get excited.
We're slowly for surely getting there. How about you, or how about you, Starstruck?
Yeah, I think I'm good. we're close. Like Kyle said, we're inching so much closer. You can just see it coming together now. And yeah, this time next week, we'll be kicking it off. At least one game will be.
Yep, absolutely. And make sure you guys join us again next week when we're going to talk about our NFL predictions, or not NFL predictions, because I mean, to be quite honest and frank and stuff, I don't care about any other team in the NFL.
Yeah.
So we're going to definitely talk about what our Cowboys standing, where we think the Cowboys are going to end up being at this year. But with that, we'll see you here next time, the Star Chronicles Dallas Cowboy podcast, and go